Just a quick heads up, everyone. My name is Christian Karasevich. I'm joined here by my co-host, Mr. Vincent Orlek, and you were watching the Social Chatter Show. And for those of you, if you're new to this, basically what we do is every week we try to bring you 3 to 5 pieces of social media content from the past week, and also share with you some new tools that we have discovered, tools that we think can either help you improve your efficiency with your social media marketing, make it easier, for instance, to find the right audience, or even tools to help you in your business, whether it's a brick and mortar business, an online business, it really doesn't matter. Tools to really help you get more efficient at what you're doing and get more done, basically, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not just about getting into the monotony of posting to social media channels. There's a lot more to it. It goes a lot deeper than that. And so we try to help you with that. For those of you who have any questions on the show, we're over here on Blab, so you can put /Q in. You can also send us some tweets. You can send them to at Social Chefs, that's my company. You could do at my Twitter handle at Vincent Orlek. And also, if you have any questions, put #Social Chatter. We monitor that, so we're happy to check it out. Got a lot of great guests on today, a number of repeat visitors. Really great to see Kelly Kavanaugh. We've also, who else is here? We've also got Marissa. Good to see you as well. So let's, I don't have too many topics today, honestly, but let's kick things off. So what do we have first? Let's see. So you're a big Snapchat user. I
am.
So what's the news with Snapchat this week?
Oh man, huge update. No, it's pretty big news. We'll see where it goes, but basically they've updated the app again, one of many updates this year, and not a small one. They're essentially they've updated it to include a feature. They're calling it Memories.
Okay.
And with Memories, what they're allowing users to do is to use previous snaps into stories. So this is a big deal. So previously you could only upload snaps that you took in real time into a story. And the story stays up 24 hours, or the snaps that are in the story stay up for 24 hours. Now you can choose to save snaps for it's in Snapchat. So the snaps, they don't live on your phone. They don't live in your Apple Cloud or anything with Android, nothing like that. It's all within Snapchat itself, and you can pick to use them and add them into stories. The big deal with this is essentially against really what Snapchat was created on, which is being real time, being ephemeral, content disappearing pretty quickly. So it's giving users the ability to really modify stories to include content that they pre-produce.
Okay.
For lack of a better term. And I mean, I like it as, first of all, as a marketer, it's a good thing for brands to be able to, because that's always the question for the brands. Like, anyone that's not really familiar with it, they hear, messages disappear within 10 seconds, or they disappear after you watch them, whatever. And for companies, they don't like that. They want to see the results of the content and what happens, what people do with it. And they also want to be able to control it and be able to put something out like they would a Facebook post, where they can create a graphic and all that. So that's where this is gonna go. I mean, this is definitely a big brand move. It's gonna allow you to create snaps that are more, they're pre-produced. They're not in the moment,
right?
Like other like regular snaps would be. So there's, I mean, that was the biggest part of the update. There's some other little things where you can choose to like send a direct message a different way to someone, a little easier. In general, that's that's the biggest deal. Oh, and the added feature they put in there was there's this thing called My Eyes Only. So if there's snaps that you want to keep, but you don't want to have them available for anyone to look at, they're protected with a PIN code.
Okay.
So you have to put the PIN code in to access them.
That is pretty cool. Those sound like good updates to me. I mean,
it depends on who it is. I mean, it depends on, if you're a kid, teenager, millennial, whatever, that's using it for communication and all that, like, it may or may not be something that you're looking for.
Right.
If you're, like I said, if you're a brand, to me, this absolutely reeks more of a brand play. And Nick, who just came in, I'm sure would agree. We're talking about the memories deal, Nick, and it's just much more. It's targeted to brands. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to monetize they're trying to have the best of both worlds. They're trying to monetize the app, get the brands going on it, at the same time keep the users and grow the user base.
Right.
So we'll see if they're successful. They so far seem like they've learned a lot from the previous platforms like Facebook that have taken 10 or 11 years to really get to the point they're at today. Snapchat's at 200 million users, or more, for all we know at this point. They're already enormous after 5 years. They've added something like 50 million users just this year, since January. So they're doing things, seemingly right, but the younger user base, there's a lot of talk about the younger user base starting to maybe leave because the older folks are coming on. Where
do you think that younger user base will go?
You know what? I don't think that they're going to leave. I don't think there's that talk. That's the hot thing to talk about now, is that, like, the Wall Street Journal the other day came out with an article about our now Snapchat, like the older folks are coming on Snapchat, so the younger groups are going to leave. And I mean, there's other apps out there, potentially, but I don't see them use. I think they're embedded in using Snapchat at this point, enough where they're going to stay. So compare it to Facebook. Facebook started out with college kids too, very, very young audience. Same exact thing, where when Facebook started to build their user base and the demographic started to age up, there was that concern. Guess what? A lot of people that were millennials, or that age that millennials are now, that were in college when Facebook came out, a lot of those folks still have Facebook and stayed on Facebook the whole time. They didn't lose. I mean, they have 1.5 billion users.
Right.
So people remained, and they did it successfully. So with Snapchat, I think it's a lot of talk over nothing, to be honest. In relation to the other apps, the other social media platforms, it's really still, I wouldn't say it's an infant, it's a toddler at this point. It's 200 million users compared to 1.5 billion. It's got a long way to go.
Yeah, they got quite a ways to go. I mean, I would say this also. You can't. Here's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, well, like somebody gets tired of one place, then they're going to go to the next place. I mean, that's always going to constantly keep happening. So, I like these updates that Snapchat's coming out with. I think the one that impresses me the most is that, Snapchat is actually, they seem to be doing a lot more. And, you probably have seen this, but it started off with everything being about Facebook. And then all of a sudden Facebook they stopped briefly. And then all of a sudden, like, they had the momentum, and then it shifted to where, okay, Snapchat actually has some momentum here. I think this was towards the beginning of the year. Yep. And then now everything is really, it's almost like a cat and mouse game. Like, when Facebook does something, Snapchat does something, or Snapchat makes an update to a certain thing, Facebook's coming back with something very similar. So, I would say, from a reaction standpoint, I think that they are actually, they're looking at one another's, updates and, to see what they're doing, to see how can we jump one another.
And really, if anything, it's Snapchat that's forcing Facebook's hand. Facebook, with a lot of their updates that we've talked about how many times now, like, they're seemingly reacting to what Snapchat does. to try to implement the same type of features. And the only thing that's been different has been Facebook live streaming. But even that, the filters, the face filters that when they bought the Masquerade app, and those are going to start coming out very soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Facebook Live.
Right.
You're going to be on a live stream and be able to do those crazy filters like Snapchat has.
And Jessica and I talked about that last week about the filters. I mean, they are going to be, I think they're pretty cool, given the fact that, and so here's the example I gave her last week. I said, they're really cool because it's nice to be able to log in and see something that was not there. For instance, like you got like soccer going on right now, and it's nice to log in and say, okay, cool. Like I can be from Brazil or Portugal or wherever, and have like that garb or whatever, and have, for instance, right now it's just a one-on-one conversation. But imagine when they then roll out the 2-person Facebook Live that they're working on for the summer. Now you can have conversations. You and I, for instance, could
like
be on
this,
here.
Like this, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and consider too. So, Snapchat, 200 million users that we know of at last count. The Taco Bell filter that was on that one day.
Bunch of movies, yeah.
Well, the Taco Bell filter that people applied was viewed 224 million times in that 24-hour period. There's more views than users, right? So think about when Facebook can say to a brand, well, we have 1.5 billion users. We're gonna make this really crazy cool filter for you, and your brand is gonna get X amount of exposure. And looking at your brand, whatever the filter looks like, it's still the brand. Like Taco Bell still had the little Eat Moss, or the Taco Bell logo was in the corner. So it was branded and everybody knew it was Taco Bell. It was very obvious. And then the other thing, they don't just look at it, they sit on it, they play with it because they want to get it right. So they're spending time on your brand, which is what the marketing goal is to a certain point. Like they want the customer, the potential customer to spend time with the brand or get exposed to it, the awareness. So can you imagine Facebook can say, well, on Snapchat, they have 200 million users, they got 224 million views. Well, any given day, we have this many hundreds of millions of views and users. You're going to get 500 million views internationally on this one little thing that you do for a day. Like, I forget what the Taco Bell paid. It was a lot of money. It was a ton of money. Imagine what Facebook's going to be able to charge for that type of service using the Masquerade app integration that they create for the brand, for the filter. Yeah, it was a ton of money for sure. It was at least a couple million, I would think, because I know the Discover spots are like $750,000, just those on their own.
I'll say this: this is the one thing that Jessica and I talked about last week with this whole like match. So, for example, like tying Masquerade into this, like I realize they're sort of gimmicky, but I think that having something cool like that is going to be valuable, like you're saying, for a brand. I think at the same time, I gave her the example I think last week about how if I'm an event, I think it could be awesome to be able to buy let's just hypothetically throw this out there. I don't see Facebook being in the business of charging too much money to brands, because their goal is they want to unite everybody, and at that point you have to have different price structures to let people kind of jump in, right? And so I could see them, like, if I'm a brand, I would love to be able to, for instance, like maybe take your mascot or your logo or something, and to have a Masquerade filter or something, that I could actually I have an idea, but I'll share this in a second. But I think what would be really cool is if I could then, as a brand, go pay for something, for instance, on Masquerade, and have it where I can then have my custom branding, for instance, while I'm doing, for instance, a Facebook Live through my Facebook page, right? I could see that being very useful. By the way, this does also give me an idea. What if they took this same feature and tied it into, like, Snapchat has geo filters?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What if they tied that function for like brands to be able to, for instance, pay to have like this custom like, overlay or whatever into a Facebook Live video. And then to tie it into like, to where like, for instance, if I'm at an event, maybe it's only available within this, certain radius. Maybe that is their play. Who knows? Because, like we said, they seem to be taking a few pages out of Snapchat's book, which isn't a bad thing.
I can't imagine that they wouldn't be looking at what Snapchat's doing with those geo filters, the overlays, and thinking how much what they could do with that for events, business pages. I mean, anything. So the thing is, it would have to be, it would be a little different because it's not a snap. Like it's taking pictures, videos on Facebook. So do they make it available when there's a live stream in that spot? Do they make it available only when you're taking a picture and it pops up on like the same screen where the stickers and the cropping and the filter thing comes up on an image for a Facebook image, So there's a lot to work through for that. I think it would be interesting to see Facebook try to do that, because that would be a definite. I mean, already with the masquerade thing, with the filters for the faces, that's a direct ripoff of Snapchat, for lack of a better term. So if it doesn't seem like they really care, though, like they really care about the perception of if they're copying anyone.
Right.
Like Facebook, I don't think really cares, which is interesting. I'm a little surprised at that. They're letting other people do things, and then it's being successful, and then they're just taking it.
So here's the thing.
The map thing on Facebook Live, that Periscope, when Periscope's had that from the beginning. You can look at the map in the Periscope app and look all around the world and see, okay, there's Periscopes, there's streams here. When Facebook Live launched, same exact thing.
Right. Well, so here's the thing. I don't see any problems with that happening. I don't see any problems with them necessarily taking something, because here's what I look at. It kind of goes back to the days of Apple and Microsoft. You can fast forward to today. Like, you could even say like Samsung and Apple. Apple, for instance, comes out with like a certain design, or they come out with, for example, they came out with the chamfered edges on the phone, right? For those who don't know about that, it's like the little, basically it's the part where like the phone doesn't just, it was like on the 5S, I think, where they basically were kind of like sort of square, or sort of squarish. They came out with that design. And then what happened immediately? Like, what's the next version of Samsung's phone? It had that same design. Feature wise, very similar features as well. For instance, Apple came out with Touch ID. Not to say, I don't know who was there first, but they came out with Touch ID. Well, then what's the next big thing? Android all of a sudden had tons of, I don't say Touch ID, but they started naming it different things. Or you had Apple Pay and then Samsung Pay. So I actually kind of like the idea that these companies are sort of innovating. I don't want to say innovating, but they're coming out with new ways to do things to tie into their platform. Something like, hey, that's a good idea. That would actually be good in our platform. And sort of innovating, I guess, in a way. Like, for instance, while I love like the whole patent system, because, there's a lot of things that are like really cool. There's a lot of stuff that, absolutely. Who's that? Is that Nick, I guess? Yeah. Nick's talking about the patent system, like same thing. There's certain patents where like, a long time ago, like it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But nowadays there's just too many nowadays, where all these companies are just buying up patents, and just, there's companies out there that are like patent trolls, and all they do is have all these patents and then try to enforce them against all these huge companies and get a lot of money out of it. And most of the companies, they don't really care, because they just off and they're moving on. So, it's unfortunate, they get into that, but I mean, I'm excited to see kind of I'm excited to see how some of these companies take some of these ideas and build on them, because I really think, like, in a way, there needs to be a little bit of an open system to certain functionality.
It does feel like they're all trying to do, like, keep up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and really it's been caused by Snapchat, and honestly, Snapchat and to go back even, to last year, Meerkat, to a point, I mean, seriously, because it's live streaming. I mean, live streaming is obviously where everyone's trying to get to. YouTube, why in the world has it taken YouTube?
Where is the YouTube? Okay, where's the YouTube
live streaming? Yeah, well, I mean, it's coming, but I mean, how in the world were they not first or one of the first? Like, where was Google typically? Again, like lags behind, which is insane.
And here's the thing: you could say YouTube. You could even apply this to Vimeo. I mean, both of those companies, they're very well known and respected for being a video platform.
That's what they do, yeah.
Like where, for example, you can start to like dump a whole bunch of other companies in this, but I don't want to get stuck on these points. But YouTube, they need to come out with their live streaming tool, their app. They say they're working on something. I'm looking forward to seeing it because here's the other thing: I put a lot of effort into my YouTube channel. I use my YouTube channel every single week. I not only publish these shows, but I publish my Social Snacks episodes. Mm-hmm. And, if I can then, for instance, incorporate like YouTube Live or whatever it's going to be called into this, it needs to be, it needs to be like something that is available to me because that's going to keep me even more on their platform. Do I put my videos on Vimeo? No. Like, why do I not do that, for instance? I don't do that because I have a much bigger user base built into YouTube, and I use Vimeo for other things, for posting other videos that I want more control over. So, it's really fascinating. Nick, by the way, makes another good point. They need to make YouTube multi-user. Absolutely. They have a lot of. We'll say this. They have a lot of really good functionality. Like I know I can. I actually think I can live stream from my channel now, but it's
on YouTube.
Yeah, but I think I have to get to like a certain level.
Yeah, they've had
not rolled out to everybody.
They've had live streaming ability.
Yeah.
Built in, but not on mobile.
Right.
That's been the issue. It's been like on the desktop or on the laptop, whatever, you can do it. And then you can also do Google Hangouts, obviously, that's totally different beast, but it's essentially the same idea. It's live streaming. But the fact that they still don't have it out now. Mm-hmm. Periscope's been out for over a year. Meerkat has come and gone. Spreecast, dead as of a week from today. Officially, I think is the 14th is the drop dead date when they're done. That's been around since 2011. Mm-hmm. Like Ustream, Justin TV that turned into Twitch. Like what is YouTube focused? I think what happened was we know what happened. YouTube came out with the gaming competitor for Twitch.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, I even forget the name of it. I mean, I don't use those platforms. Twitch, I've gone on and looked at just because I'm curious. But I'm not a gamer, and I have no interest in watching other people play video games.
Right.
But YouTube saw that as like a prime spot where they wanted to compete. Mm-hmm. When again, Twitch has like a couple 100 million users active. YouTube obviously is Google, and YouTube has even more so people using their product. They saw that as the place where they should go. So maybe it was just more of a strategic error on their part, where they didn't anticipate Periscope and Facebook Live and all that to be really the wave. They thought it was more the gaming side. The gaming industry is huge. The e-gaming thing is enormous. We know that at this point. So it was maybe a tactical thing on their side where that was the decision they made. And now they're getting around to the live streaming part. It'll be interesting to see like what type of adoption happens with YouTube live streaming, because I really think Facebook Live is going to be the eventual winner.
Right. Mm-hmm.
More than Periscope. I mean, the audience is already built in. They have brands. I think they're more willing to jump on. I mean, how many brands do you see already that are streaming on Facebook? Well,
and I would say this. I'll mention this very briefly. I don't want to talk about this too much. Like, I agree with you. Facebook is definitely the place to go for live streaming, which, by the way, I have one other topic to talk about on live streaming. But the other thing, I guess, that's also really, case in point, for example, yesterday, I guess, I don't like to talk about like news that's not like business, like social media, that kind of stuff. But this is more like national news, I guess. And, you had somebody that was broadcasting, like, they got, for example, they got stopped by a cop, I guess, and somebody got shot. And they actually broadcast this on Facebook. And, and like, while like we're talking about like business things, like, I mean, this is just showing the extent that people are like, it's that easy for people to figure out. Like, they think that, they need to do like citizen journalism, I guess, with every little thing nowadays. And so I like the direction this is going from a business standpoint. I guess the one thing that, is probably the scariest part. I know Facebook's going to be the place to be, huge audiences. But they definitely have to figure out a way to kind of control like what is getting broadcast, if you really think about it, because everybody has a camera nowadays. It's not just like, hey, I can, and I realize I guess I deviated from my point, but everybody has a camera. Everybody can broadcast from their device. Doesn't matter what it is nowadays. Everybody's broadcasting everything because they think like, they think the world, I guess, owes them something to some degree. And I guess it is, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, because, you're right. Like Facebook's where everybody's going. And I mean, just this one event, like I woke up to this news and I'm like, holy cow, like, somebody, that's not just the first event that somebody has broadcast on Facebook. That's like, some like malicious, graphic event. So it's just, it's really, I like the fact that people are able to do this. I like how easy it is. I think the bigger thing is going to be, how do you put that control system in? And this might even get to your point, by the way, Vincent. You remember, so let's talk about patents real quick. And I realize, guys, by the way, we're a little all over the place today. One thing Vincent had, talked about, I think last week or over the week, I guess, Apple apparently filed for a patent on, what was it, Vincent? It was on a camera detection system, like to be able to like detect when somebody was taking a photo or a video, I guess, of sorts with their iPhone. It was basically there to kind of block some of this, like to block somebody, for instance, from shooting something, taking a photo or taking a video. I sort of actually could see that even playing into this somehow, whether it's Facebook having a partnership or all these live streaming companies having a partnership, with the camera maker, for instance,
Well, it's the phone. I mean, it's a device. It's are they going to do that? Are they going to, I mean, they certainly will have the capability between, whether it's not, I mean, the phone, the patent and that news was more about Apple,
right,
limiting the camera usage in certain places. Like it would automatically detect, like you said, where you are and if there's been something set up. So again, that's a money thing. That's a monetization thing, because now Apple can charge events and venues and anybody that has something where they do not want people to be able to video,
right,
or take pictures. Apple will be able to charge for that service.
So I have to say, and I realize we've like completely deviated from everything we're talking about so far. I actually think that's a really good move on their part.
I don't know.
So here's the thing. Okay, but so here's the thing. Let's put this in, context. And I realize, like I said, we're kind of all over the place today, but I get why they want to do that. So for example, it makes a lot of sense. Like they make the devices. They have a patent, for instance, that then they can license to all these companies, whether it's say Facebook or Snap, it doesn't matter. Facebook, Snapchat, like Twitter, Twitter/Periscope, anybody doing live stream, YouTube at some point, anybody doing live streaming, right? If I'm, for instance, at a concert or I'm at, a baseball game or, a conference, it really doesn't matter. Like, let's start like high level. Like if I'm at, a major concert, most of the time, what do they have? They have a policy that says, hey, no photography, no photography, no video. By the way, that would actually have been, you almost had like too bad recording that, like if something funny had happened. But if I am, for example, if I am at a major concert, so I'm looking here in the chat, not being able to use my phone to take a picture or video, like a concert venue, to deactivate something. If I'm at, for instance, a major concert, most concerts have policies where they don't want you taking photography, they don't want you taking video, because in most cases they've either A, hired somebody else they're paying to do that they then can you're using your likeness or image, for instance, like to be able to to profit from that. So that's why a lot of times they hire staff to do that. Now,
I think but in general they don't. I mean, it's different when you buy a ticket and you're taking a picture, and as opposed to if you're there and you're live streaming the whole concert. I mean, obviously there's differences, but if they're going to go down that route, number one, it's ironic because they didn't want to give the FBI access to open to their files, to open phones for the terrorist murders there in California, and they didn't want to cooperate with the FBI is the moral of that story, right? So Nick says, he's tried to live stream a concert before. It's not the highest quality content. The other thing too is if you don't have unlimited data, there's usually in a concert place, Wi-Fi access, the bandwidth. The Wi-Fi is not usually very strong, the signal.
Right.
So if you're using your data to live stream, that live streaming kills your data. It kills it, and you have to pay more for it. So I mean, there's some obstacles already, but I just find it funny, and I think for the brand, it wouldn't necessarily be a great move, like brand to consumer wise. Because as someone, I'm buying this phone. I'm buying this phone from you. Right. And then after I make the purchase, you're going to tell me where and when I can or cannot use the product after I own it. That I think it comes down to that basic thinking. Like, I'm not even talking about for Snapchat or the apps. They're talking about the camera, just the camera alone. Right. It's like, what? I can't use my camera. I own it. You're not going to let me use it. Any other time when my camera is not functioning, I would call you and you would fix it. As the company, I would call your customer service maybe, or go into a location if you provide that service of fixing it. You could tell me what's wrong and I can fix it. Now you're going to keep me from using it. Yeah, it's crazy. But I think that going back to the monetization, if they do that, then it's for that purpose of a lot of it's for that purpose of being able to tell like a Beyonce, okay, Beyonce, at all your concerts this year, every venue, just like a geo filter on Snapchat, everything between 5 p.m. and midnight on that Wednesday night when you're in Phoenix, the people that have iPhones with this operating system on it, minimum, 9.0, whatever, right? They won't be able to take a picture, or they won't be able to use their video camera. That's, and then Beyonce pays for that to be the case.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm not really sure why they're doing it, but I mean, if you look at the situations that are available, I look at the situation of, a concert. It could be sporting events. I mean, this. The NFL, for instance, is very strict on people doing any sort of like, whether it's putting together an animated GIF, a stream of like something going on. People, even people like just tweeting out, for instance, like play-by-play and so forth. Like they don't want people doing that because you've got people that have paid money. There's TV rights, all this other stuff, and now because I have this phone, I can now go and share that with people for free, which is, it's great for me, for instance, as the brand ambassador, but at the same time, for my own brand, but at the same time, like if I'm business, like it's almost like gets into piracy and that sort of stuff, I guess.
Sure. But too, so when the live streaming first started happening a year ago to this extent, right? So when Periscope first came out, there was a couple stories here and there about, Major League Baseball, hockey, and the PGA Tour not allowing people to, like, putting in policies against live streaming. In fact, the PGA Tour, it was at the Masters or a tournament before the Masters in the practice rounds last year, a reporter was live streaming on Periscope. I think it was, I don't know if it was Tiger or not, but it was someone. She was live streaming the practice tee, not the tee, the practice putting. Right. Like, they banned her from the whole rest of the tournament. from covering the tournament. This is a reporter.
Yeah.
For a publication that she was credentialed and everything.
Yeah.
So now, since then, those sports have seemingly softened their stances. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly where the PGA Tour stands right now, but I want to say that they've all, because baseball came out right away and was like, you cannot live stream at a baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
And the talk was, well, how are they going to police that?
Right, exactly.
How would you possibly police that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to have ushers. Ushers don't do anything as it is. Like, you're going to have, you pay these guys and girls to go and walk around and police that. It was unenforceable. So it was silly of them, and I think they realized it, and I think they were like, okay, well, let's just roll back here. Because in the end, it's more about the goodwill. Same thing with the NFL is super popular, but the NFL is super expensive to go to a game. And they're fighting against people coming to games now, attendance in a lot of places. And their people are trying, like they finally have Wi-Fi, really good Wi-Fi available in, I don't know if it's every single stadium, but the majority of the stadiums now. And they had to do that. And now they signed a deal with Twitter for Periscope to broadcast NFL games this season, 10 NFL games on Periscope directly, or through Twitter. Maybe it's live, maybe it's through Periscope. We're not sure yet, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. You know, they have to come to grips with the fact that this is where the world is with all these things now, with this technology. You can't just go the way of newspapers and say, oh, it's just a fad. The internet's just a fad, and we've been here for 100 years, and we'll continue to do what we do and ignore it and hope it goes away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's they need to embrace it. They absolutely need to embrace it. They can't just try to push it away. Like, and Apple just needs to embrace it if they're not already.
Yeah, no, great points. I mean, I really not sure what they're going to do with that, but it's interesting because it actually gets into the other topic we kind of wanted to talk about, which was Twitter kicking off their live streaming campaign conveniently with sports, streaming Wimbledon.
Oh, that's right. That's your sport.
Yep, absolutely.
You're a tennis guy.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard anything about that happening up until the moment when it actually, I saw it came out on Product Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I saw it, and I went and clicked on it and looked. What'd you think?
There were a couple of things I thought that were actually really neat with it. Okay, so one thing I really liked with it was the fact that normally when you go to, for example, I'll put Wimbledon in context here. If I wanted to watch Wimbledon, here's what I would have to do. Everybody probably knows this. Okay, so it's on ESPN. I would have to either go to ESPN.com or on my mobile device, go to the Watch ESPN app. I would then have to authenticate with my service provider, my internet service provider, to then be able to watch the stream. So that's the normal process. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. ESPN has a lot of, there's like a bug in their system, for instance, where it'll sometimes kick you off and whatever. So that happens every so often. So now the cool thing about the Wimbledon piece is that I don't have to do any of it. All I have to do is go to that link that was there, open up the, and basically just watch. I don't have to authenticate or anything, which I actually really liked. I also wonder, is that a move, a big step into cord cutting at that point? If, for example, I can watch
absolutely, right?
Yeah. So I liked it. I also really like the fact that there's an interface there where, I can chat about the conversation at the same time. It did seem a little bit, I guess, sort of like long in the tooth, like the fact that it's kind of already been around for a while, like that kind of style interface.
Did you think it was a little different? Because it was actually ESPN's broadcast, right? They had ESPN's broadcast on there that they were showing. Did you think it was a little clunky to get to? Like, if I didn't know, yeah. Like, how do you know to get to that link? That's what I was trying to, can you just, if you go to Wimbledon's account,
right? I
was trying to find it, and I was like, well, there's a special kind of URL that applies to it, to get to that view. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to look in their tweets for it.
Yeah.
But someone was asking me, how do I get to that just easily.
Absolutely.
If I didn't see it on Product Hunt, how do I get to see it?
No, that makes a lot of sense. If I didn't see it on Product Hunt, if I didn't see it on any social media channels, makes a ton of sense. What I ended up doing, I even tried like taking that URL and just going to like twitter.com/i/live.
Yeah.
See if it actually pulled up anything. And it didn't pull anything up the other day. I don't know.
No, it was blank. But because that's like the base URL domain, and then the numbers after it are the event.
I'm wondering if those are
what I can tell.
So actually, I'm wondering. So let's just take that URL and quickly deconstruct it. And I realize we're way off topic today. But like twitter.com/i/live. I'm wondering if that number is actually your Twitter ID, because you typically get a Twitter ID as well that you can put into like widgets or something like that.
It seems long for a Twitter ID though.
I'm not sure. You make a good point. It could be the event, but I'm also wondering if it has something to do with the actual channel itself. Almost kind of like
honestly, wouldn't you think that they would do like live /
social chat? Yeah, right. Something easy. Yeah. Again, just throw my hat.
Yeah. They obviously it's going to have a lot more development behind it and work and all that. That was the first foray. Mm-hmm. I think that's essentially what you can expect in 2 months or so when the NFL starts showing up on Twitter when the games, those Thursday night games start showing up on Twitter. I think it's going to look in that type of format, maybe a little bit more branded or something. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this was certainly a test, a dry run, a test run for the next things, and that's probably why they didn't tell everybody that they were going to do it. Unless I just missed that. I mean, you're a tennis fan. Did you say anything about that was going to be the case at Wimbledon? That Twitter was going to show it live like that?
You also have to look at, I guess, the event. So, contingent on who I work for. Like, so I kind of had a little bit of an idea of like, what was kind of going on.
But did you see it ahead of time?
Ahead of time, no, I did not.
Because think about it, you play tennis,
right?
You're a tennis fan. You watch tennis.
Mm-hmm.
You watch Wimbledon.
Mm-hmm.
You work in social media.
Mm-hmm.
You are an authority on social media, on Twitter included, and you didn't know that was happening. And I'm not saying it's anything on you. I'm saying they didn't. I don't think they put it out there.
I think if they wanted to do it better, they probably, again, maybe they did it because it was kind of like, hey, we want to just do it as a surprise. I don't really know why.
Well, I don't think they wanted. I think they wanted to test it, and I don't think they wanted this like crazy overflow of bandwidth like at this certain time when the event started and everybody knew, oh, I want to go, because they get the curiosity factor too. The people that don't even care about tennis, that are going to go watch it and check it out at least all at that one time. So maybe they were afraid of that too. Given the user base and the people who are interested in tennis and all that. So, but it was interesting. And that Twitter deal there, it's funny because you know what it reminded me of? Remember before the Super Bowl, Facebook came out with that, like all of a sudden they had Stadium. Mm-hmm. And it was, they called it Stadium, and it was on Facebook on your mobile. And if you clicked on like the check-in or the score thing of the game you're watching, it took you to this separate part in the app of a feed that corralled in the score, the like the game recap, and then all your friends that were posting or talking about it. And then other people too, like publications, things like that. So it reminded me of that. Not that it's a bad thing, but it just reminded me of like how Facebook was trying to do all that in that one spot, except they didn't have a live feed. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a live feed of the game. They just had, it was like these posts. It was just a feed of posts.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that one actually, but it's I would have done it differently. If I were doing that, I would have said, hey, like here's, I would have reached out to people that like I know are tennis fans, for instance, people that tend to, whether I'm, you've got that data, like whether I'm tweeting about, like tennis or Wimbledon or, retweeting certain things. I mean, I think that would be very useful. Mm-hmm. I do like the idea though. I think it's actually pretty cool. I like, I think that it's a good jumping off point for them to get into live streaming a little bit better. I could almost, let's take Blab as an example. We're here on Blab and we've got, our screens going on and we've got the, we've got the chat going on the sidebar. I could almost see this same functionality like in what we're looking at right now. I'm looking at us and then the chat on the side. That essentially is very similar to what was going on with that live stream. Imagine taking that, for instance, and being able to dump in, like, let's say it's dumping in Periscope, for instance, or let's say there's, Facebook's done this. Let's say it's taking, let's say they were taking some of Facebook's, what was the feature they were doing the feature where you could stream from devices. Like, let's put the devices into it. Let's say I'm doing a big event. I could essentially have that camera tied into something and have it streamed, for instance. That could be useful as well. Nick, I want to say, and by the way, Nick made a point here, said no matches were streamed, mostly commentary. Yeah, I did see commentary, but I did see some matches, I thought. I thought they were streaming some of the Federer match through
on Twitter.
I was pretty sure that was actually there, yeah. So, because when I heard about it, I jumped on, and I think they were doing they were still in their 5-setter. Oh,
I thought, yeah, I definitely thought they were streaming matches. I thought that's what it was.
And I did notice after some, the other thing is I did notice after some of the matches, like, granted you're in the quarters and now the semis, the quarters were actually, they were quick matches for some of them. So I might have, again, I know I flipped over and there was commentary at some point, but here's the thing. I think it could be really cool. I think it could be actually really cool to say, hey, you know what? Let's stream to, like, let's broadcast this on TV, but hey, you know what? Let's also push it out to Twitter and let people stream this, or, and so forth. So I think that there's going to be a lot of, there's obviously some growth here, but I do like the fact that Twitter is progressing here. They're not like, resting on their laurels now. A lot of people have said, hey, they're slowing down, not talking about Twitter as much, but I think still a lot of usefulness left there.
But Nick is right. I'm just looking at the article. There's an article about it, and so number one, they didn't announce it in any way formally. They briefly put up a tweet, like informally, and what it says on the article, I'm reading this from Fortune. It says it was clear that the coverage was not exactly live since the video window said on Wednesday afternoon that coverage had ended for the day when matches were still being played. So it wasn't they were showing matches, but they weren't live at that moment.
The one thing I'm actually wondering with that, so that might have been sort of like what I saw. I might have actually seen some of the match, I thought, but then maybe it had just ended or whatever, and they didn't bring the other one on because they weren't going to stream all of them. Yeah. Not sure. Again, it comes down to licensing deals and whatever else.
Yeah,
that's the second piece of social media news I know we have for the week, and I guess the only third piece that I had was really the fact that Instagram is starting to roll out their analytics. I didn't have it yet.
No, I don't have it yet either. I know someone, a friend of mine, Stephanie Real. She's here locally in the Phoenix area. She said she has it, and that there is a scheduling feature. Mm-hmm. However, it's just typical like all the others, where it's more of a reminder. Feature. So because the Instagram API, they just don't want people to be able to schedule onto Instagram yet officially.
Yeah, I've got it's interesting. So like I went on here and, for instance, I do not have the analytics piece. I've got multi-user switching here.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty slick. I don't have the analytics piece. I don't have the new business profiles yet. Missing out on a lot of stuff on Instagram, I guess. But they have started rolling out like the analytics. It basically will appear as a little icon. If you tap into your profile on the bottom right, there should be a little little graph to go to get there. So I don't have anything I can show you guys, but I can.
I don't think most people do. I mean, I think it's really it's Facebook rolling out a new thing. We've been talking about these Instagram analytics since they announced it 5 months ago or something, and nobody really has it yet. Very few.
Right, absolutely. So that's I guess what third piece of social media news for the week. And I know I got to go here shortly, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, we don't. I mean,
I'm going to jump into some tools because I don't have any other social media news really.
Yeah, go for it.
Tool number one, by the way, for the week is it's a Facebook ads opportunity calculator. And this is actually by the team over at WordStream. They're basically doing this pretty neat little thing. You basically put your email address in and kind of find out if like Facebook ads are really worth the money. They have like an opportunity calculator, for organic reach and cost to reach calculator and so forth. It's pretty neat. They basically put your Facebook. It's pretty neat because they put your Facebook page in there. They then give you roughly like a percentage about your page. So like, for example, if they have a screenshot here, that you're missing out on, like, only 2% of your fans will see your post, like on average. So they might suggest that. They also give you some recommendations on what, like when you make a post, who sees it. So like the actual organic audience, the maximum organic audience, and the paid audience potential. Obviously, the paid audience potential is going to look pretty freaking awesome if I'm using this tool. But it's pretty neat. And they also have a remarketing simulator as well tied into this. So free tool, put your email address in, link up your pages, or select your pages, and then you have a nice handy little tool. And I mean, the bottom line is, if I'm a business, let's put these in that perspective. If I've never done Facebook ads before, I would say this is a good opportunity for you to at least get, the lay of the land, to understand, what your opportunities are, because a lot of businesses, they just jump in and they said, well, most people, they jump in as a business owner. There's nothing wrong with it.
They test it out. Yeah.
But you don't want to just jump in and throw like thousands of dollars or whatever at something without really knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe you do have a very good audience. But at the same time, maybe you do have a good audience. Maybe you don't have a good audience, really, like, you need to know that. And most businesses, they don't. I mean, I get people asking all the time, how can I get more people interested in what I'm doing? How can I get more people talking about me? Like, obviously there's an issue with your content. So, a lot of people, they immediately just make that jump and say, hey, I got to pay for stuff.
So here's the thing, Christian, in the time that you just posted that link, because this one, you and I didn't know this was one of the tools we were going to talk about today. So the time that you posted that link, and right now I went on in there, I connected my pages and ran a report. And it's already telling me, yeah, on average, only 4% of your fans see your posts on this particular page that I ran.
So that is, that's really awesome. To see that and to like know how easy that was to find. What did you think about it? Pretty good? Oh yeah, it's already, I can print the report. And now obviously there's a button on the top, try WordStream social ads for free. So this is a lead generation tool for them to a point, right? That's what they're doing that, because then they can come back and say, oh, we can help you with your ads. But that's not a bad thing. That's okay, because they're giving you all this information. There's more information besides that. That's just the top. There's the business page overview, how many average page impressions you get per month, who sees what I post on Facebook, in terms of how many are your fans, how many people are similar to your fans, the cost, how much will it cost me, and it gives you like an estimate of spending here this much per month. It can grow your audience by this much. It's all estimates. There's no guarantees, but it's a nice little tool. It talks about lookalike audiences, talk about who to target, the right people, and how many extra sales and leads after advertising to them on Facebook. So it's a sales tool for WordStream, but I would recommend going and checking it out. At the worst, they're going to have your email address, your Facebook absolutely
name.
Yeah, so that's tool number one for today. Tool number two is tool number two actually. Sorry, this is Snapchat Editor. And by the way, yeah, like, you're right. This is HubSpot does this. All these other companies do the same thing. Nothing wrong with it. They're not doing it in a shady way. They're providing something of value to you.
Yep.
Tool number two, Snapchat. Sorry, it's called Snaptag Editor. My bad. I'll let you talk about this one actually.
Oh, this is the one. Okay, so this is really straightforward. If you're on Snapchat or if you're getting on Snapchat, this this is not Snapchat's app in any way. They even note that Snapchat is very against third-party platforms tying into Snapchat. This one doesn't tie into Snapchat. It just allows you to customize your ghost code, your snap code. So, and you already see people do this a lot. You can do this if you know how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and all that. Canva, you can do this in. You can take your ghost code and customize it, put your own face. Like on mine, even on this blab, you can see I have my head in my snap code. You can put your company logo. It's just an easier way to do it. Right now, if you want to do something, you have to build it. You have to build it in Snapchat, where you have to take the picture like with a logo or something. So this just allows you to do it on an easier level. It's very simple. You just go through the process, and it will give you what you need to download the snap code that you create, and then upload it wherever.
So good tool for everybody to use.
For brands, yeah, companies. I mean, if you want to personalize, if you want to put the logo for, we keep this to the business side. If you want to make an account on Snapchat for your business, this will allow you to put your logo to brand your snap code.
So very good find, by the way. So let me get to the third tool. So the third tool, and by the way, I'm gonna let you talk about this one too, because you and we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about it before, but this one is called RightTag, and this is a desktop app that you can download or that you can use. So what is RightTag, Vincent?
This one's been around for a while. This is like, it allows you to put your posts through a process that enables you to potentially augment the reach and the value of your posts. So there's a Chrome extension. If you use Chrome, I have this extension on my Chrome browser that when I want to do a post, say a tweet, and I'll type in the tweet, pop it into there, into RightTag. RightTag will then allow you to connect and like find GIFs, find images, find hashtags, find users that you can mention. It just takes that post and like puts it on steroids in a way that, it takes a lot of that work out of your hands of having to find the right GIF or something. You can just essentially type in a word and it'll come up. Now Twitter has that natively also now. RightTag has been around for a while, so this was kind of the option that you would use beforehand. But it also does the other things too, like the hashtags. If you type in a certain keyword, it'll pull up hashtags that are appropriate to use potentially with it that are also powerful. And influencers, other people that are talking about that topic. It does a lot of that. So it's a helpful assistive tool. It's not for everybody necessarily. If you're more of an advanced user, it's probably going to help you more because you're going to know what to look for. But it certainly can help you even if you're starting out. It can help you kind of get an idea, even if you don't use everything that you pull up every time.
Very good. That's a really good find. Also, I mean, like I said, or we've said before, it's we realize it's an older tool. It's been out for a while, but at the same time, it's useful.
Yeah, and if you're going to use it, I would recommend getting the extension, the browser extension, because it ties in and it comes up. It integrates with a button on, say, Twitter, there would be quote tweet, retweet this or tweet this, and then there's a button for RightTag that says, oh man, I forget even what it's like auto something. It does auto enhance. Auto enhance. So it's trying to help you enhance your posts.
Well, these are good finds today, by the way. So yeah, Nick, RightTag has changed a bit. There's a lot of tools that have really changed a lot. I mean, there's a lot that used to be very like one-dimensional, and then they had to change because of rebranding or some other thing that had to be adjusted. One company, for instance, like Later, that's another tool. They basically did a whole rebranding, where it used to be like, I think it was all Instagram or something, and then now they moved into being being open to other platforms. And I think that's just because a lot of people don't want to get pigeonholed. if you build your business, for instance, around Instagram, and Instagram changes their API, you're out of luck. There goes your business in a way. So let me, and so we shared 3 tools, and then I had one last thing I wanted to share with everybody. There is and I think it's still free. Let me see. Yeah, still free. Okay, cool. You probably might have seen me. I've been tweeting a good bit the last few days about a free book. We've talked about this tool before. It's called Social Quant, and it's for building your Twitter audience. But they did release a book, an ebook. It's a free book, or sorry, it's normally not free, but it's like $4. But you can get it for free. The book is called Twitter Marketing That Sells: How to Convert Your Twitter Followers into Business Dollars. That actually is a pretty cool title. But basically, if you just go there, it's free. It was free yesterday. It's free today. I'm not sure how long it's going to be free for, but I would recommend if you want a good read, go check that out. They do have 5 stars right now. They've only got 28 reviews, but a lot of people are probably still reading that book as it just came out yesterday. But I'd recommend checking that out too if you have an interest in using Twitter to grow your business. They're a good company. So with that, I don't think I have anything else for today. Do you, Vincent? Anything you want to?
I do not.
Well,
except I just discovered the memories thing on Snapchat is rolling out slowly to everybody, and on the brand account that I manage, one of them, I just got it. I just saw it.
Very nice. By the way, so are you going to be available next week for Social Chatter?
I am.
Very cool. I might be. We'll have to play that one by ear. But okay. So the good news is everybody who's watching, we will be here next week for Social Chatter. And if you want to subscribe to the show, this is where we're going to host the show. And also, if you want to get on our email list, I'm actually going to give you guys a quick link for that. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to get on the email list, the other thing you can also do is you can text Social Chatter to 33444. That's going to get you on our list. You'll get notified about future episodes of Social Chatter. So basically you get notified about future episodes. I'll also send you a link to the previous show if you want to watch that. So basically this will go up as a video later tonight and so forth. So with that, I want to say, it's been a quick week, I guess, with all this stuff going on, but
it has. It has been a quick week.
We kind of threw this show together, but hey, I love doing this. I love being able to spend, 45 minutes to an hour with everyone. So I want to say thanks a lot, everybody. If anybody has questions, feel free to reach out to us. And Vincent, pleasure having you as a co-host. I really enjoy it. You keep the show lively.
Likewise. Sorry I talked so much this week.
Man, no problem. I think I monopolized a lot. We were talking about Facebook Live and Masquerade and so forth. So
yeah, it's all good.
But have a great, great evening, everyone. And if we have anything new that comes up, we'll let you know.
Definitely.
Until next week. Bye.